Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, or night for some of those that are in Africa. But today, for those that don't know, I'm Taylor and I'm from the Institute of Advisors. So for those that don't know, but I'm sure many of you are across, we stand for increasing the overall benchmark quality of business advisors from around the world through education. And today we're joined by one of our chapter leaders and Mouse Business Systems accredited partners, Dale Coutts, who will be diving through how business advisors can leverage exit planning and also intertwining it with how he's evolved his own style of advisory over the years from when he started to where he is now. So over to you, Dale.
Thank you very much, Taylor, and do appreciate that. And as Peter and Taylor have said, thanks for tuning in no matter where you are. I feel a little privileged that there's people staying up late to have a listen to what I've got to say, and there's people up early to have a listen to what I've got to say. So thanks very much for that one. So So the plan for today is Taylor's going to sort of just moderate some questions. So there's a chat room down the bottom where you can just put questions or do whatever you need to do. So I think there's 11 or 12 of us on. If you've got a question, just Taylor will either interrupt me. I don't think I can quite see where everything is at the moment. So we'll just work our way through that and away we go. So what I wouldn't mind doing for a start is just getting an idea of, in the chat room, and Taylor, if you could just moderate this for me, give me some feedback. But in the chat room, if you've been a consultant less than 2 years, could you just put a 1 in the chat room, just so I can get an idea of who we've got there? If you've been a consultant between 2 and 4 years, just put a 2 in. And then if you've been a consultant more than 5 years, put a 3 in, just so I can get an idea of who we've got in the room and where we are. So Taylor, what's the oddie poll there, please, mate?
So it looks like we've got 3 1s, a couple 2s, and a couple 3s. Oh, one more 1 as well. So it looks like we have a majority of early advisors.
Yeah. Okay, so that's good. So and obviously those more experienced. So I know of Shane. So up in the Riverina or northwest Victoria, but so I know Shane's been around for a while consulting. But so for the newer consultants out there, one of the things I'm going to talk about today is, how do business advisors leverage from exit planning? How do we go about and do that? So I'll jump on in and go from there. If you've got questions along the way, can you please make sure, pop them in the question in the chat area, and Taylor will get us all sorted out and we'll go from there. So let's move on in. Let me hit that button and see what it says. Good. So just a little bit about me. Peter gave me probably a somewhat glowing report there before, but I'll give you my story in a couple of words. So I have been consulting since 2003, came out of corporate, essentially frustrated at corporate and just being on that hamster wheel of helping other businesses, playing the corporate cat and mouse game, people trying to take you down. I just said, I've had enough of this stuff. And then got involved in consulting back in 2003, which means I have been around for a little while. I have been fortunate enough to win the Mouse Consultant of the Year a couple of times, so I'm very proud of the fact that I've been able to do that. And I think it's probably 2006 or 7, might have even been a little bit back earlier when I first joined Mouse. I'm not exactly sure when that was, Pete, but it was a little while ago. So that's been great. I'm not quite sure what segments either the newies or the more experienced consultants work in, but as a new consultant, I took on anything. I took on, if it was a client and they wanted to pay me money, I took it on. And I think for a start, I think that's the same with exit planning or general consulting. You've got to dip your toe in the water. You've got to dip your toe in the water. Larry, just might need to whack your microphone on. Thanks, Larry. But as a consultant, you might, you've got to work out what you're really good at or what your strengths are before you work out what, which way you want to go and what you want to do. So the key areas that I tend to work in now, after a little bit of pain and suffering in some other industries, are I tend to work industrial commercial. I tend to work trade businesses, And then I tend to work with professional businesses, so accountants, not business advisors, financial advisors, brokers, those sorts of things. Where I had a lot of pain was with retail businesses, not corporate retail, because I tend not to work with corporate, and also hospitality. So that's a couple of areas when I'm speaking to people about, accountants and those sorts of referral sources. I normally say to them, I'm happy for you to pass a referral to me, but my number one goal is I tend not to work in either hospitality or retail, because it's not something I found I just didn't enjoy it when I was working with those business owners. So trade, industrial, commercial, manufacturing, and those professional businesses were the ones that I was in. So if you're one of those 4 or 5 or 6, new consultants, just work with clients. That's your first job. Get a client, get them paying you, and then you'll work out how you get results, what you do using the mouse systems, methodologies, all that sort of stuff. But I'm going to go through a bit of that stuff today. And then you can start to get more targeted or more niche with what you want to do and where you want to go. So I'm not sure what the numbers that you work with, but I'll talk a bit about that later. I then say, Peter, I am so old. I remember when Mouse used to send out floppy disks to their consultants. So I have been around for a little while, and they were in these great big boxes, and in came this little floppy disk with this dirty, great big manual about 700 pages on how to operate it. So when I sit down in front of a client, I do say to them, I've been consulting for 18, 20 years. I was doing a bit of consulting in corporate as well, but there isn't a whole lot that I've seen. And ultimately, there's nothing you can throw in front of me that I haven't seen, heard, or been part of down the track. So that's difficult when you're a new consultant. But the beauty of the Mouse Network also is that you've got, and the Institute of Advisors is that you've got other consultants out there that are able to, you're able to draw on their experience and then give those stories back to your clients and help you with that. So I think that networking is a pretty good thing. My number one goal when I started consulting was all about getting results and longevity with clients. Okay, I came out of an environment where it was just get a client, you burn them, you take their cash, you move on. Didn't quite sit with me. So I've always had really good retention, and one of the things I like about what I do and how I've got myself set up is, when you can work with a client for a long time, it makes life really easy. So that's a little bit about me, and now let's jump on to. I've got some questions for you. So this is not just to sit there and listen to Dale. I've got 3 questions, and Taylor, if you could just moderate these for us, just to see what we've got. So I'm just going to put up 3 questions for you. So obviously you've decided to either stay up late or get up early. So I just wouldn't mind getting Taylor, if you could please, just what are people looking for from this session? Why is it that you want this information, or what do you think the impact might be if you've got that? So I wouldn't mind if anyone could just shoot in a question or 2 there, that would be great. And then we can I can answer some of that before we move on into the next bit.
Absolutely.
Do we have any responses, Taylor, or do I need to make some up?
Not as of yet.
Okay.
If anyone wants to, by all means, they can yell out, or they can flick them through to me in the chat box. Either way. Right.
Yeah. So I'm happy for you to take yourself off mute and just say, "Hey, Dale, here's what I want out of today," or "Here's what I'm looking for." If there's nothing, I'll move on and go from there.
Here we go. Sarah has asked how to structure a plan to help a business prepare for sale and succession.
Yeah. Okay. So we are going to cover off on that one, Sarah. So sorry, was that Sarah?
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, we are going to cover off on that one, Sarah. And I'll take you through that one very shortly as to how I go about it and the tools that I use to help me get to that end result. So I'm going to go through that in a little bit of detail for you shortly. So that's good. So thank you. And again, if you've got any others, we'll just take them as they come.
Yeah, Michael has also asked more insight into exit succession planning so can professionally consult in this area. And we also have Leanne asking, I have an age portfolio of business clients that don't have succession planning in place, looking for some guidance to assist these clients. And Andrew has also asked, identified opportunities in the market specifically focused on exit planning. And Sarah's also asked more on the marketing side of things. So how to get the messaging right in marketing this service without people thinking, hey, you're a broker.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So who was that from? Sorry.
That one was from Sarah. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. And I take it that is Sarah, are you a business broker?
No, I'm not, but I know in the past I've just heard people say that they've tried to get into this area, and people have just thought that they were a broker. I want to sell my business, but I don't want to prepare it for sale. You know what I mean?
Okay, done. So I'm going to talk about that because I specifically position that with a client up front, and I'll talk you through how I go about that and what I do.
Yeah.
So I think that will help. And the marketing side of it, I'll come to that. I've got a note of that one there. So we'll see how we go with that one. I did say before, the number one thing that I asked myself when I first sat down in about January 2003, it might have been February 2003, how do I keep a client forever? That was or as long as I can. Okay. So, when you go in with that mindset, then all of a sudden some funny things happen. So I was doing some preparation for this presentation today. So as of last night, I have clients that started with me and are still working with me since 2004, since 2008, 2013, 14, and what I would call my new clients in 2016, 17, and 18. So I still work with my very, very first client that I picked up 18 years ago, 17 years ago. So if you think about, well, how can I structure consulting and advisory? So whether you call yourself a coach, a consultant, a mentor, an advisor, I'm not, it's whatever you feel comfortable with, whatever makes you feel good. But yet, for me, if I didn't have this mindset, that this is what drives me every day when I'm working with a client. If I'm having a bad day, I go, good, hang on, I set this damn thing up to keep a client forever. So what am I doing today? Am I being slack, or am I actually, giving good value to my clients? So just think about that. And I'm not sure where you're up to, but I think the mindset of how do I keep the client for as long as I can should drive you to deliver fantastic results. So let's jump into a couple of areas that should answer some of those questions that we've got there. So how strategic advisory and exit planning can work in tandem. So this is one of those questions, I think, Sarah, that you may have had. So I always, when I sit down with a client for my initial free consultation, I always go in with a plan in mind as to whether they might want exit or they might want just general advisory. So it does just depend on the discussions that you've had with them previously, and I'm not quite sure how you go about that, but I would normally have a quick intro call, send them out a questionnaire, understand what drives their business, and then I've got an appointment set up with them for 3 or 4 days later, so I know where they're up to. So I can tell pretty quick where they are in their business journey and what their frustrations are. And depending on whether they're looking for advisory or whether they're looking for exit planning, then I'll tailor my discussion around that. As recent as about a month ago, I was sitting in front of a client and I went in with a strategic advisory. He was referred to me by one of my existing clients. My existing client said, oh, I had a mate around here last night and the silly buggers, he's only sleeping 4 hours a night and he's working 20 hours a day trying to get jobs finished and all this sort of stuff. He says the guy's just absolutely strung out and, about to have a bloody mental breakdown. I said, yeah, rightio, good. So I sort of let that slide, thought about it, gave my client a call back later that day and said, hey, listen, that guy that you said's out of control and, you know, about to get hit by the Mac bus, would it be okay if I give him a call? I might be able to help him, I might not. He says, look, he's the sort of guy, he's not going to want to speak to you, but I'm happy to give his number. So he's sort of like the ultimate control freak. And no one can do it as good as him and all that. So anyway, I had a chat with him, finally got in front of him. I was going down this whole strategic advisory of, mate, you are the only person in this business, only, you know, you're doing everything. You're about to get hit by the Mac bus, and the wife's going, yep, I see, I told you. And he's going, yeah, no, don't be silly, yeah, I don't know, I'll be right. And then I could see it was going nowhere. So I normally spend 45 minutes maximum with a potential new client. This was going nowhere after about an hour and a quarter, but I just wanted to keep nailing this guy on something to get some pain out of him. And then it wasn't working here. So then I said, by the way, what are you going to do with this thing when you're curled up in a ball and got to sell it? And he's gone, what do you mean? I said, well, at the rate you're going, I can tell you to do anything you like. You're not going to change anything. And at some point, you're going to end up in the fetal position and your business is going to be stuffed. What's the wife going to do then? He said, well, what are you talking about? I said, well, are you going to sell this thing or are you going to just walk away and leave a couple of million sitting on the table? He said, like the light bulb went off and he was having the, you know, what I would call the oh shit moment. Sorry to that young child there. Sorry, show again. But that's what you've got to do. So you've got to be able to pick up that, hang on, this is not working in the sales process and the client's not getting the messages that you're trying to get through or doesn't want to hear them. And that change in exit planning is then also another way of, you know, getting into that client. So as it stands at the moment, he's still a control freak. I've disturbed him enough to think about exit strategy. We'll see where he goes and what he does. But bottom line is, if he wants to come on board, I'm happy to work with him. I'm not gonna semi-manipulate the situation to force him into making a decision with me. I want him to come on board because he wants to come on board and make a difference. So at this stage, he's a work in progress. But when you talk about strategic advisory and exit planning, that's how you can sort of like change from one to the other and then have a chat with the client on how to go about and do that. When I start working with new clients, the first thing I say to them is, you might not want to sell this thing right now, but we're going to get it ready so that if you do need to sell it, we've got everything in place ready to go. So this for me is the either or offer and also preparing the client. So I think that might be your question also there, Sarah, just on, so I always say to a client, you might not want to sell this, but I am going to give you an attractiveness and a readiness rating. And we're going to look at what we've got to do to make this a better business in the case that you want to sell this thing down the track. And a really good example of that is a client that I was referred to probably about 4 years ago. 4 years ago it would have been. And my mate said, look, you need to have a chat with this guy. He's got 3 businesses. He's going around the bend. He wants to sell them. Can you have a chat with him? I said, yep, I'll have a chat with him. So he walks into my office and says, hey, just get these things ready to sell. Do it as quick as you can. I've had enough. They're driving me crazy. People are hopeless. I'm a bit, you know, I've just over this damn thing. I said, okay, yeah, rightio. Well, I said, well, have you had to think about if we can get it organized and structured enough that if it can look after itself and you don't have to work in it as much, that you might not have to sell them and they might still be profitable? He says, I don't like your chances. I still think I want to sell them, but let's just start on that process. So we've started on that process. Within about 8 months, we got them fully systemized. We got his managers right. We got his team right. He now works a couple of days a week. He's still got the 3 businesses. I saw him about 4 months ago. I probably finished working with him, be about 12 months ago, 12 or 15 months ago. And I walked into one of his shops and he just happened to be there. I said, oh, g'day, Matty, how are you? He says, yeah, good. He says, hey, did I ever tell you how thankful I am that I didn't sell my businesses, that you didn't listen to what I wanted, and you actually helped me get my businesses organized, helped me get them structured, and I'm now working a couple of days a week. he's got the holiday house, he's got the kids going to the private schools, he's got his life pretty well set up, and he's doing it pretty easy. So that's sort of, just be careful what people tell you. And the either or there was, well, why don't we give this a go? And if that doesn't work, well, then we'll head to the exit planning, but you'll be able to get better value for the business because you've got it better systemized and you've got it more attractive and ready to sell. So that all worked out fine and away it went. But when you start having that discussion with business owners and they're not quite sure, everyone's sort of heard of succession planning or exit strategy, but when you sort of start saying to people, well, let's get this thing ready for a point down the track if you want to do it. They go, oh yeah, but it's almost like they've ticked another box, and they go, oh yeah, well, okay, I want to be part of that. And then they sort of buy into that process. So that's my experience. I don't know whether that helps or not, but I also find that it takes the angst out of asking for help by a coach, mentor, or consultant. So you're not going in just to get the consulting gig, you're going in with a longer term plan of the exit strategy, which is essentially it's the same as a consulting gig, and it's only you've got a structured, you can pretty much do a structured 2-year process if you wanted to, maybe 12 or 15 months if you really jump in and do it flat out. So for me, it's not me going to sell my consulting, it's me saying, well, good, I can help you get your business ready to exit or hand over to the broker. And they go, oh, well, he's not just trying to sell me something. There's a benefit for me at the end. So when someone says, I'm going to pay you $2 or $3 grand a month, what am I going to get for it as a consultant? Sometimes that's hard to justify because, I've worked with these clients since 2003 and 4 and 5 and 10. And they would sometimes have trouble articulating, well, what's Dale doing to help you? But when you can say in 2 years' time, I can give you a structured business with a rating of about 90 to 95%. Here's the value that you're going to get out of that business. Here's what it's going to be worth. They go, oh, that's good. I can work towards that. I can see that. Whereas sometimes consulting, coaching, mentoring is that intangible that people have trouble justifying or seeing. So take that into account when you're building your programs or when you're making your offers to potential clients as to how you go about and position that. So does that help? Just how you can talk about both and sort of go one way or the other, or talk about them both in tandem if you want to. So hopefully, I don't know, a 1 if that helps and a 5 if that doesn't help. If there's 5s, Taylor, can you delete those? Yeah, there we go.
Absolutely.
Good stuff. So the next thing I want to talk about is outlining that process of goal setting and that preparation for the new financial year. So I find that financial years, calendar years, are a good time for where people go, oh look, I'm going to do something either this year or in that next period. So I'm just going to spend a little bit of time on this one here now for you. As I said before, I think if you can guide a client through the process of, this is not I want to sell my business today and all of a sudden miraculously you click your fingers and the business is ready to go. This is about, we've got to start this process early. We can start slow and build up, or we can start fast and build down, whichever way you want to go. But we need to start the process early and allow time for the business owner to think, plan, and digest. So one thing business owners, a lot of small, SMEs. So, for me, somewhere between, my ideal client, somewhere between $1 million and 15 million. That's sort of like my sweet spot. I've got bigger and I've got smaller, but they're the ones I really like working with. A lot of those businesses don't do planning. A lot of those businesses don't do KPIs. A lot of those businesses don't do exit. They don't do succession. So for them to get their head around it, it does take some time. And normally at the time that they're ready, you'll present and you'll be there somewhere, or part of your marketing, I think, should be getting those key messages out there about the key stats of how many people are over 55, how many are organised, how many want to use their business as a retirement plan, those sorts of things, the things that Pete's got as part of Mouse and the Institute of Advisors. So just make sure that you've got that data, but that could be a good marketing feed for, you know, is your business ready to sell? Do you know all the factors that go into selling your business? Confused over exit strategy and succession planning. They're all the sorts of things that you can go and market to and go from there. So I'm probably in a very fortunate position that I don't have to do a lot of marketing because I get a lot of referrals. And again, when I say a lot of referrals, you know, if I was to get a referral every 3 months, I'm over the moon. So it's not like I need lots of clients. They just happen to turn up when the time's right, or I put them in the parking bay, and when I'm ready for a new client, I wheel them out and have a chat with them and go from there. So think about what's uncomfortable for your clients. And again, the whole company that I formed with FKM was why business owners don't move forward is because they don't know what they need to know. So there's a lack of knowledge. So if business owners don't know how to do planning, or that they need to start thinking about it, then it's your role to get them thinking about what they've got to be thinking about, to educate them and to work through them at the pace that they want to be worked through at. So just be mindful of that. The other thing is you do have to work with them. So I do know coaches and consultants that say, go off and do this, go off and do that, and not actually help their clients get where they want to get to. I think one of the reasons that I've got exceptionally good client retention is because I am there saying, today we are going to write a system. Today we are going to look at how we're going to value your business. Today we're going to look at your marketing plans. Today we're going to look at your business drivers. And I'm actually saying, good, here's a document I've got for you that we're going to customize and we're going to help you work with. So I think if you can turn up, charge someone $600 or $700 an hour and do nothing, I say go for it. If for me, I can charge that, but I'm giving what I consider to be very good value, good knowledge, and the tools to get where they want to get to. So again, I go back down to fear no more. If the clients knew what they had to do, they'd be doing it. Okay, they know how to make a sale. They know how to, you know, send out an invoice. They know how to do lots of stuff. But if they knew how to do business planning and exit planning, they wouldn't need you sitting in front of them. So just make sure that you don't hand stuff over and just assume that they know what they're doing. You've got to talk them through the process and step them through so that they are then comfortable.
Just adding to that, Dale, Shane in the chat just said, very much agree with the hand-in-hand approach.
Yeah. So look, you know, in a previous life, it wasn't about that. So I've always done that, but that wasn't sort of like what we were instructed to do. It was like, you know, tell them what to do, get out of there as quick as you can. You've spent your, you know, if you don't need to spend an hour with them, don't spend an hour with them, charge them what you want while you go. So it will get you fantastic results with clients when you are hand in hand and working with them. When you're actually there beside a client, when they go, oh, geez, I just got what you've been talking about. I can now see how that strategy fits in the business. I can now see how me managing that team member, or I can now see that sales strategy, or I can now see where that system stopped us from making another costly mistake, or I can now see where those KPIs have held, you know, Taylor accountable or Peter accountable. So just be mindful of working with them. So there is the Mouse 90-day planning tool. So hopefully you have all seen that. As I go to here, I'm just going to drag this one over to make it a bit bigger. Can you all see that bigger version of the 90-day planning tool there?
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so again, sorry, Peter, but this is not quite the one I use. But as a new consultant or you know, anything up to a couple of years, I would say this is the perfect document to have a session with a client every 90 days. So I'm not quite sure how everyone works with their clients, but I'm either weekly, fortnightly, or monthly. So for 4 sessions a year, I've got a 90-day planning session, yeah? So that's a whole lot less I've got to think about. So I know what I'm doing every quarter with a client, don't I? And whether it's what do we want to do in the next 90 days, how we're going to, so I essentially use most of the elements here, just not quite in this format. But so I just want you to be, sorry, to be aware there. So has everyone seen that document, or is everyone aware of that document? Just a one.
No, where do we get that from?
So is that possible, Taylor, for you to let everyone have a look at that one? And I'm not sure whether that's whether I meant to say that or not, but I think that will be okay.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We do have a slightly modified version of that one-page strategy page, so it's slightly different to that one. But yes, you do have that available. I'm more than happy to send that out.
Yeah. So again, what it does is it provides structure for you as either the consultant, mentor, coach, advisor, or the exit strategy specialist. Because part of the exit strategy process is what planning are you doing, what targets have you got in place, those sorts of things. So just keep that in the back of your mind as to that 90-day planning tool. And then, you know, you've got more consulting that you can fit in around this 90-day planning tool as you're working through that. So just be mindful that that's what you need to do. Yes, you can use and develop your own. Before I got involved in Mouse, I probably did have a whole lot of my own tools. Mouse helped me with the systemization of a lot of other things, but I sort of tend to stick with what I've got and what I've been using. So, but I'd certainly recommend to use a couple of other things there. So another thing I just want to have a talk about now is the increasing the business value. So I think that was I think that was someone's question there. You know, what's some of the specifics? So for me, you know, it's the attractiveness and the readiness ratings. So let me just have a quick look here. Let me just have a quick look. Where is it? Where is it? Where are you? I'll find it in just a minute. Thank you. I'm coming back to here. Let me just drag this one over. So hopefully you're seeing an attractiveness. Can you see that, what I've just popped up there?
Yep.
Yeah, great. So Value Max program. I'll just go back to here. Think. So again, so this is your business attractiveness and your exit readiness. So that's that A&R that I was just talking about there before. So just be mindful that is a tool that I use, and I'm not sure. So I take it that everyone that's on the webinar, Taylor, would have access to that or not? Would that be right?
Not specifically to this tool. Those that are obviously looking more into the exit planning side of things. If you are looking at least trialing the tool or you know, trying to get more info on it, then I'm more than happy to get you in touch with some of the guys from the Mouse team, and they can walk you through it.
Okay, so as me as a Mouse advisor, so that's a tool that I certainly use, and that's a bit of an aha moment for clients also when you talk to them about what are the factors that go into attractiveness and what are the factors that go into readiness. Then for me, that is like light bulb moment for many clients, and they go, well, you know, well, how do I go? What do I get? What do I get? Where am I up to? And you go, well, geez, okay, I've got a bit of work to do. So this particular client was at 64%. So that was better than what he thought. And when I first met him, so this is a new client I've just started working with. When I first met him, he says, oh, I don't think the business is very good. It's, you know, it's only sort of it's been around for a while, but it's sort of, you know, it's been going through a few challenges, So, you know, I go through the process, don't judge, just make sure we go through the process, put the ratings in and go from there. So that would certainly be a good tool that you can use. So if we just go back to here, that you can use that will help you with that process. And that's that one that I was just showing you there before. So I've got a copy of that one. Again, work closely with your client initially. Okay, so sometimes we get a client and we go, oh geez, I've just got a client, I better not get too damn close with them. I better not give them too much too quick. I better not go too fast with them. My experience is that clients want you to be there. They want you to be helping them as much as you can, and you doing more, checking in with the client to make sure that you're either not going too fast or you're going too slow is a really good way of also just checking in with them as to how are we going. So I'm not sure how others go about that, but yeah, I've got some clients that I work with, and is everyone familiar with behavioural profiling? Just a quick show of hands. I can see a couple. You know, just behavioural profiling or Myers-Briggs or whatever it might be. Yeah, okay. So when you understand those profiles, it's easy to ask questions to find out where you're up to. So if you're familiar with an S behavioural profile, which is a very steady, non-demonstrative, sometimes hard to pick whether they're happy or whether they're unhappy. So there was a point, it might have been, I don't know, 6 or 8 years ago. It was a little while ago, but I was having a chat with a client, and I'm thinking that we're going so slow that I just wanted to check in with the client just to double check that we're going okay. I think it was a real estate agent, I think at the time, and I said to them, hey, now listen, I just want to double check with you that you're all okay. I feel like we should be going a bit faster. There's a couple of things I really want to get in and get implemented. Where are you up to with the program that we've got in place? He says, oh, geez, he says, no, you got to slow down, mate. You got to slow down. We're going too damn fast. So just make sure that you check in with that client. So your pace, if you're a high D like me, which is let's get stuff going, let's get it happening, can sometimes be overwhelming. But if you've got a high D client, well, you just keep chucking stuff at them and they'll keep doing it. So you've got to be able to just make sure that you measure that. So I got that lesson pretty early on to be able to ask the questions of my clients. Are you happy with how we're going? Is there anything you thought we might be doing that we're not doing? Are you happy to continue on the same path that we've been working on? Is there anything that you're not telling me that I need to know about just at the moment? So they're all the sorts of little check-in questions where we're up to. At the same time, I had a chat with a client just before Christmas. So I'm from Victoria. Victoria's had some pretty severe COVID-19 lockdowns where we had, I don't know, 4 months or a bit longer in lockdown, and it was pretty tough. I was doing a lot of web-based consulting, which was fantastic. But I finally got to get in front of some clients just before Christmas. And I'm with one particular client, and I said to them, now listen, I just wanted to do a check-in because I know this person pretty well, and I do a bit of sport with this guy as well as he's a client of mine. So I've got to make sure that I just keep the relationship sport or personal and business. But I said, now just want to check where we're up to, what we're doing. Just want to make sure if you want to keep going on the 2 monthly or the fortnightly sessions, I'm happy with that. But whereabouts are you up to? Do you want to drop back, or do you want to keep going the same? He said, no, we are dead set. We're staying on. We're doing this, and I'm going, yep, that's good. So I could have essentially sold myself out of a gig and cut my billings in half, or if you ask the question, or I've got the courage to ask the question and let the client make up the mind, then you can work through from there. But really do work with your clients closely initially. And again, I know when someone says to me, let's start, and they pay me up front for the first bit, which is for this attractiveness and exit. So I charge for this. I know I've got 3 months to get some runs on the board and to get them comfortable. If I can get them to 6 months, I know I've got a client for 4 years. That's my mentality. If I can get them through the first 6 months, I know I've got them for 3, 4, 5 years. Go from there. So when I talk about filling the gaps, let me just come back over to another. Let me just move this over, and I want to go to page. So this is this client that I had up before. I want to go to page 39. 75. No, that's not right. Here we go. I want to go to here. So hopefully you can see that. I can't. Just want to blow that up. So when I talk about filling the gaps, I look at this, and the first thing I say is, good, we need more financial systems and management processes. This guy, this particular client has got zero marketing documentation systems. They don't know anything about valuation. They've got limited product strategies. They've got zero systems and processes. They've got a whole lot of stuff to do with customers. So that's the sort of stuff that I would start to put a plan in place with really quickly to, again, get the small wins on the board, to get the client comfortable so that they're starting to see their business grow, and then work through the process from there. Also got to lock in the learnings with clients. So if you've taught them to understand whether it be a finance strategy, a sales strategy, a human resource strategy, you want them to play it back to you to say, thanks, Dale, you've taught me how to. Thanks, Dale, for implementing this strategy. That's all the stuff that you want to get them back into. Definitely systemize where required. And then I'll come back and just show you, this again. So that's right, I'll drag this back over here. So hopefully you're seeing that same slide again, yeah? Is that right there, Taylor? Yeah?
Yep.
So I'll just go back up to page 1. So page 1, I've got 113 pages here. I think you're seeing a bit of that. So I've got 113 pages. So that mouse exit strategy software goes and builds about 90 pages or 100 pages of that. And clients go, oh, wow, that's fantastic. Sorry, I must have I wanted to go to page 55 before. Let me just do that. So I change it ever so slightly for the client. That's all okay, but the bulk of the work is done. And then there's a whole lot of data there. I'm sorry, I'm just coming down to a certain point. Sorry to do this to you. Please bear with me.
Are you right?
Rightio. So sorry, that's the first bit there. So one of the first things when I'm catching up with a client, I don't know whether you can see all of that or not. Let me just make that a bit smaller. Rather, I want to just keep on the screen so I don't get lost. But one of the things, there we go, that's better. One of the things I also do as part of this attractiveness and readiness, it's built into the software already, but I tend to just go and then pop it in here and say, well, what's some of your goals that you want for your business? And then I document those. So we've got some October 21 goals. We've got some December 21 goals. We've got some December 2020. And then there's a couple of others there we've got some sales goals out to 2024. And by 2026, we've got a target that we want to get for turnover. And then there's a couple of other action plan items that I've got in there. And then the last thing I say to every client as I'm working through lots of areas of the business is I'm going to put together some key performance indicators and then plug that into the mouse software so that we can measure our results, what's working and what's not working. So depending on what areas you're in and what they need to be, that would be part of what I go through and what I do. So just be mindful of that also. So I've got that there. Let me just drag that back over to there, minimize that, and away we go. So that's my process. So I use a fair bit of the mouse data or the mouse systemization that helps me with that. I certainly use this Value Max Business Score. I don't go in to say we are going to sell this, but let's just do the ratings because one day you're going to need to do it. I've got a client that I've been working with since about 2015. We had a catch up the other day. He's going to sell off one of his business areas. So he's had 4 businesses. He sold one. He's about to sell another one to a strategic buyer and get paid a mozza. but we went and did this process just for this one particular business that he's got in regional Victoria. And the rating came in at 89%. So we put that into that business worth. So as an advisor, I can say, here's what I think it is. Go back to your accountant and have a chat with him about what he thinks the multiples are. But when you're talking with your potential purchaser, you've got the validation of what this thing's worth, what you believe it's worth, why it is worth what it's worth, and why you should get paid top dollar versus not. So as an advisor, my client goes, geez, how good are you, Dale? You know, so in an hour, we sat down, did the rating for him. He's got a meeting, I think it's tomorrow, with the prospective purchaser. We're not going to give him the whole plan, but we're going to say, hey, listen, we've done our research. We know where we're up to. And, you know, it's going to be somewhere between a 2.8 and $3.94 million sale. I'm not part of that. That's not my gig. He's got that all sorted, but I'm helping the client get to that level where I can hand it over to someone else. And he says, great, you've done a fantastic job, and away we go. So that's part of what we've got there. So so away we go. So that's all I wanted to go through. I feel like I have not been raving, but I've gone through a bit of stuff pretty quick. But I'm happy to answer any specific questions you've got. I think I've answered most there. But if you want more clarity, I'm here for you. Just let us know, and I'm happy to answer questions. So
Excellent.
Feel free to unmute, and we'll just go one at a time and go from there. Or if everyone's all okay, more than happy to, we can wrap up and go from there.
Excellent. Well, whilst everyone's getting their thoughts, at least, by all means, as Dale said, feel free to unmute and ask any questions directly, or you can pop them in the chat, either straight to Dale or just directly to me. But from my end, I'd like to thank everyone for joining today's session. Dale, I think that was a fantastic session. I personally got a lot of insight into how you kind of structure the engagement from moving it purely from the strategic side of things and base advisory, and kind of move it into the succession side of things. So it's more opening that discussion from the beginning side of things and asking the right questions in terms of where do they want to go, and kind of almost prod them into really diving into what they're really looking for, which I think is something that takes a lot of courage especially for many new advisors to kind of jump into. So I personally think that's a really, really interesting way of looking at it, and a way of kind of taking it on board. So thanks for that.
No worries at all. My pleasure.
We got a couple thank yous in the session. Thanks, Andrew, and thanks, Michael. Thanks, Larry. Couldn't hear any background noise from my end, Larry, so it was perfectly fine. But it looks like everyone's saying that there's some fantastic insights, and thanks for the practical tips from there. And but no real questions on my side, Dale. Do you have any notes or any
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, my video for some reason isn't working. Hi, Dale. That was really good. Is with the exit and succession planning, is there any more higher level training we can sort of get on some of this? I mean, I've only just joined the advisory that training, but is there any sort of higher level training we can get on, how to structure these succession planning conversations and that document? I mean, you're using, what did you call it, Value Max? Because I don't think I've got access to that program. But is there any other more intensive training we can get on this?
Yeah, Taylor's probably, either Taylor or Peter would be the right people to have a chat to, but there is an exit advisors training program or course that you can do, and that's a really good one. So I would have a chat with the team about how you do that. And that, I think when I did it, it was, there was, I don't know, 10 or 12 of us in a room, and there was a heap of scenarios. I think Peter and Todd did it. I'll just forget who. It was a little while ago now, but that was sort of very valuable to how do you use the tools? How do you position the tools? How do you work more closely with clients on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Just adding to that, in regards to the Value Max and the exit planning side of things, I would say the best point of contact, if you would like to find out more in terms of courses, or maybe even just opening up the discussion, if that's the area that you kind of want to dive into, I would say the best point of contact is going to be Todd from the Mouse team. He's probably going to be the one that's going to be able to, kind of walk you through the next steps. And he's also the most across the Value Max tool itself as well. So I'm more than happy to get in touch with him for you and get him to reach out if you'd like, Sarah.
Yeah. And
I know I've been talking to Chris. I think, is it Chris Chris Palmer in there, and he's helped me quite a bit, but not in this area so much.
Yeah. So for me, the biggest challenge that any new consultant or advisor has, Sarah, is and nothing against Mouse, but the products are that in depth and there's just that much to them. You just got to pick one or two products and just get comfortable with those and start using those. So, my go-to is the KPI scorecard. Then I add in policies and procedures with clients. Then I do the employee accountability. Then I do the performance manager. And then you start to get the Value Max and cash burn calculators and some of the other health and safety manuals and training registers. So just pick two or three that you want to focus on. Get them working with your clients and then add them in from there. So I tend not to give clients access to too much of the Mouse stuff for a start, because some of them just go, oh, wow, there's just that much damn stuff there. I don't know how to operate it. And it's a bit overwhelming. Whereas if you just give them access to two or three and then work from there. So
I've only just started using the client needs analysis. I think the cash flow one and the master plan lean. So I'm still trying to work out how to use them at the moment. But yeah.
Well, I think that they're good starting points, and you can market around. You can market around those things to prospective new clients about. Do you have an easily definable plan for the next 12 months or 2 years in your business? What was the other one you're using? So you're using the master plan lean. What was the other one?
The cash flow and the client needs analysis.
So the client needs analysis is a really good sort of like intro that you can send out to people, whether it be business worth or with there's a whole lot of tools that you can use. I'm probably not the right guy to talk about marketing because my business is up and going, and it's probably been a long time since I've had to do a whole lot of marketing, which is a great position to be in. But do those activities early and just do lots early and just be consistent in the doing, and it will come off. That's what I can guarantee you. Yep. 10 emails, 10 phone calls, 10 letters, 10 industry groups, 10 accountants, 10 whatever it is, just do 10 or something every week, or do 20, 30 or 40 each week. It's going to come off somewhere.
Yeah, because I liked your idea of sending out a bar of soap to someone.
Yes.
A letter. Yep. You don't know me from a bar of soap. I was going to try that, see if it works.
I've got to tell you, it sounds dead set dumb.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah.
Especially in today's digital age where everyone's going, clickbait and all that sort of stuff. You can get really targeted with some of those as well. So you can send that to industries or people that you actually want to work with.
Yeah.
And you don't need to send out 500 of them. You can just send out 10 a week. Make 10 phone calls. I guarantee you'll get something out of it. Yeah. So more than happy for anyone to go and do that. Don't send mouse traps. I did once send mouse traps, and I should have thought about it. I thought it was really funny, but it didn't go down that well to the businesses that I sent it to. But that's fine. You live and learn that, and it wasn't a very good conversion strategy. I think the headline was "Feeling Trapped in Your Business." And
I think the bar of soap's better. I reckon bar of soap's good. Yeah.
Well, I've got about 15 of them. So I've got bar of soap, I've got railway tracks, I've got coins, I've got Vegemites, I've got you name it. You can come up, you can be as inventive as you like. So it's got to be memorable. You've got to phone when you say you're going to phone. So if you say I'm going to call you at 12 o'clock on Friday, call them at 12 o'clock on Friday. And all those sorts of things. So you've obviously heard me talk about it in the previous presentation somewhere, but yeah.
Oh, it's on the advisors.
Oh, thank
program.
you. Yeah. Okay. Well, let me. I'll give you. If you're interested, I'll give you a little. Where are we? Here we go.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah. Let me just come back to here. Where am I going? I'm going marketing. Direct mail letters. Here we go. Done. Let me come over to here. So here is my direct mail letters. I've got a razor blade, my bar of soap. I've got a sleeping mask. I've got a Band-Aid. I've got scents. I've got matchsticks.
Are you prepared to share with us how all those fit in with business letters, or?
Well, here it is here.
Yeah.
So
okay, right.
So if you're falling asleep at your desk because you've just clocked up another 70 or 80 hours, I've got the answer to your problem. Here's a couple of matchsticks, and I stuck a couple of matchsticks here.
Right.
I used to attach a peg. How many square pegs are you trying to fit into round holes in your business? One size doesn't fit all. If you're not aware of the people factor in your business, then you could be impacting profitability up to 300%. I used to send a highlighter. Again, it's an old photo, so I obviously haven't sent these out for a little while. Confused, unsure, don't panic. We'll help you see the highlights. So all you're looking for is something just to, get their attention. Here's my world famous fail. Are you feeling a little trapped by your business at the moment? And I put a mouse trap in here, like a physical. I went to Bunnings and bought 50 mouse traps. And I've still got some of them in the marketing box downstairs. There is a mouse plague up north, maybe we should send it. But again, all you're trying to do is just be a little bit different. What else did I have? Oh, this was a pretty good one. I went to a toy store and got some of that model railway train track. How do you know if you're on, if your business is on the right track? And I just put the railway line across here. I just cut it up into little 5-inch pieces. Let me get straight to the point. Definition of insanity, bang, send it off. Yeah. So I did that every week for the first couple of years to get my business up and going. And the bars of soap and I don't know what else have I. I used to send out some cards for winning hand. But yeah, so the bar of soap is this one. You don't know me from a bar of soap, and I don't think I've got. No, they're down. They're in a storage box. But I went and bought 500 soaps. You just go to a cleaning supplies place, get the little. I've got the little Holiday Inns or the little satchels. Put them in a padded envelope. Oh, sorry, hang on. You can't see that. You don't know me from a bar of soap. So the letter is essentially the same. Again, definition of insanity is doing the same thing every day. 3 questions. Are you getting the results you deserve? Is your team as productive? What impact would a 20% increase in turnover have in your business? I'm going to call you within 3 days. If I don't, you can call me and claim a free lunch. Now I've got a good system, so I haven't ever had to buy a free lunch. But that's what they're about. Sleeping mask. I'm having a bit of fun just going back over these.
I was going to do mine in Canva actually. I know you've got them in Word, but in Canva you can put some nice, pretty pictures and formats in there. Yep.
So not an issue. Feel like you're running your business is running blind some of the time. We'll take the blinkers off, and then I put you can buy them for $1 at the reject shop. The little things that fit over your eyes and look pretty groovy. Again, it's the same letter. Just how creative do you want to be, and just what suits your style and how do you want to go about that. So sorry, I'll get rid of that there now. But hopefully that sort of helps.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah.
So it's about being a little bit different but when you make the phone call and you say, hey, I'm the person who sent you the bar of soap or the mouse trap or the bit of railway line, all you want is just to get through the gatekeeper and just say, I'm ringing to have a chat to the guy about a train. And then they'll go, oh, geez, I don't want to know about a train. I better put you through and away you go. Or if you know who it's going to, then, it's got to go to the right person. So, yeah, good.
Excellent.
Rightio.
So-
Well, thank you for that.
Does anyone have any final questions for Dale before we wrap up?
That was really good. Thanks, Dale. Really good information. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you. And all success to all consultants.
Yep.
Or advisors, or coaches, or mentors, or whatever you would like to call yourself. So, no, have a great day, week, and month. My details are there somewhere if anyone wants to give us a call or catch up. But overall, thanks very much, and really do appreciate that.
Excellent. Excellent.
No worries.